It finishes 2-1 to the 10-man host. Taking a look at what that means at the top of the table. Of course, Newcastle still remain in the bottom half. For Manchester United, they miss out on that opportunity to put a distance between them and Aston Villa, who lost against Chelsea. We'll talk about that a little later on. It's going to be quite the race, isn't it, for those top 5 spots. We need to move that green line down because those teams, of course, vying for a place in the Champions League. Michael Carrick came out and said, yep, that's it, Shaka, United deserve to lose that.
Yeah, listen, I thought you're down to 10 men, right? I said what I think about the penalty, as vast as it may be. But you're down to 10 men. You concede a penalty as cheaply as you do. Bruno Fernandes should have known better, despite his protests. You get yourself back in it. And then you have a full 45 minutes at St. James's Park. And while Ramsdale was performing heroics, Manchester United should have... I felt that there was an opportunity here, with everything at stake, with all that you've seen, with Liverpool's result yesterday, that Manchester United simply did not take. And again, while you can look at the saves of Ramsdale, I think from a Manchester United perspective, there were opportunities. And Buemo had a couple, there were opportunities that Manchester United really just failed to take and then paid the ultimate price in, albeit surprising goal scoring Osula later on, an incredible goal, but you kept Newcastle in this game.
What was different about United today?
I think you've got to look at Ramsdale, to be honest.
Right. Just one of those days?
I think it's one of those days. You know, Manchester United on this run have been good. They've not been sensational. They haven't been scintillating. They've just been a whole lot better than they were under Amorim. They're a bit tighter defensively, and they're creative going forward. And it took Ramsdale to make those saves. So yeah, I think it's what United are. What we saw today is what United is. It's unfortunate for them though that Newcastle picked a night to go down to 10 men and actually just not give in. Yeah. Just basically stood in front of them and said, you know what, everything you're going to throw at us, we're going to take, and then we're going to try and get at you. So just one of those nights, but yeah, when you look at the table, that's a big 3 points lost for Manchester United. Yeah,
it would have given them a lot of breathing space. As Stevie said, though, great character from Newcastle, especially given the manner in which they conceded that goal, Don.
Oh, amazing character. I mean, you go down to 10 and you're watching the second half unfold, and then, you know, Bruno Fernandes gets loads of touches of the ball and he's their best player by a mile, and Ramsdale's pulling off brilliant saves. I mean, the one from Xerxes when it was going in the top corner, amazing. But every time Man U threw it in the box, Malik Chow or Dan Burn, they got their head on things. They put their body on the line. Joe Linton late on in the game. That's the character. And that's all Newcastle fans want from their players. Shaq will tell you, you know, you can get beat at St James's Park, but when you're willing to run and put your body on the line and you come out with more credit when you're down to 10 men, even if it was 1-1, the players would have got loads of credit in the bank, working hard, putting their bodies on the line. Will Osula was a player that they signed for next to nothing. They turned down 30 million from Eintracht Frankfurt just before the deadline closed. He looks like he could be polished into a really good number 9. And that has to be the benchmark for Newcastle now. They've set the benchmark that high after beating Man United when they were down to 10 men. Can they kick on? Can they try and get in European spots? Can they try and climb the table and get above Sunderland?
Good thing is we don't really have to talk about the sending off because in the end Newcastle win overall. Anyone want to add anything?
I'd like to add Kieran Trippier, a player who's come for a lot of criticism over the last couple of seasons. I thought you saw this in the last game against Everton when Pope made that glaring mistake. He was the first to come over and kind of pat him on the back and try to lift chins. I thought he was outstanding today. And again, from a leadership perspective, Kieran Trippier, back end of his career, just continues to be a leader in the back that I think Newcastle have needed, if not relied on. And I think there's such value to that. I'm a little biased in that. I love Kieran Trippier for all that he stands as a player, and it's great to see him play this kind of a role in this kind of a game on this day against this opponent. So credit to him is all I'd like to finish on.